as we drift further into the significance of beards. It's worth noting the central role they played in the religious and ceremonial life of ancient Egypt. Beards weren't just part of the royal regalia or symbols of divine authority. They were integral to the rituals that governed daily life. Whether for pharaohs or priests, grooming wasn't just about appearance. It was part of their spiritual connection to the divine. Imagine walking into an ancient Egyptian temple. The air would be heavy with incense, and the sound of chanting priests would echo through the stone corridors. The priests, decked out in their finest ceremonial robes, would likely be sporting their sacred beards, carefully groomed for the occasion. These weren't just everyday beards. These were beards that represented their purity and their role as intermediaries between gods and men. Priesthood, in many ways, was a kind of living ritual, and the grooming of the beard was just as important as the words spoken in prayer. Interestingly, beards were sometimes treated as offerings in these spiritual rituals. There's evidence to suggest that certain deities or sacred figures were offered beard trimmings as symbolic acts of devotion. This wasn't just a cleaning up process. It was seen as part of the sacred rites that ensured spiritual favor. Priests would often trim their beards in a ceremonial manner, offering the hair to the gods in ritualistic settings. Imagine standing there in a grand temple, watching a priest reverently trim his beard while chanting to honor the gods. His beard not just a part of his body, but a sacred offering. But beyond religious rituals, beards also had a deep connection to the cosmic order the Egyptians held so dearly. They believed in the balance of the universe, Ma'at, the goddess of truth, justice, and order. And the act of grooming was, in a sense, an attempt to align oneself with this balance. It wasn't just about having a well-maintained beard. It was about having a beard that was in harmony with the divine order. This was an act of not just personal care, but of cosmic significance. By caring for their beards, Egyptians were symbolically making sure they were part of the larger divine plan. There's an interesting debate among historians about the role of beards in the priesthood. Some argue that the beard was a symbol of the priest's earthly connection to the gods, while others believe it was primarily about purity. What's certain is that it was an essential part of the priest's identity. Their beard was as important as their robes or sacred texts. In fact, priests often wore special oils or perfumes made from fragrant herbs and resins to keep their beards smelling pleasant and fresh, even during long hours of prayer. Historians also still debate whether the presence of beards was something that came about gradually in ancient Egyptian culture, or if it was always a constant symbol of divinity from the start. One theory is that beards became more important over time, as the religious and royal connections to the gods grew stronger. Whether they were used in ceremonies or as personal symbols of power, beards were, without a doubt, one of the most symbolically powerful elements in ancient Egypt.